So you've mastered the granny square. Now let's master the half granny or the granny triangle. Hello, my name's Karen Stangram and welcome to Conquer Crochet, the channel for tips, tricks and techniques for conquering your crochet. Everything I talk about in today's video will be linked in the descriptions below. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss a single stitch. So if you're keen to get going with this video, give me a thumbs up and let's do this. So to make our half corner granny square, so granny triangle rather, you're going to need a 4mm hook, we're going to need our scissors, we're going to need our needle to sew in our ends, and I'm using a double knit yarn. This one is the Women's Institute, which you can pick up from Hobbycraft, and it's telling me that we need a 4mm hook to use this wool. Okay, so I'm going to start off making a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 5 or 6 depending how big you want your circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do a slip stitch into that first stitch to make the circle as we did with the basic granny square. I'm going to chain 3 and I'm going to make 2 trebles into that circle. 1, 2, going to chain 2, and I'm going to make 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. So essentially we've got a corner there, if you like. And I'm going to chain 1, which would be our travelling chain, and I'm going to do 1 more treble into that circle. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work, because we always work from right to left. So I've turned my work, and to slip stitch into that chain space, and then I'm going to crochet 3 chains, then I'm going to do 1 which would be our travelling chain, and I'm going to treble 3 times, chain 1, and I'm going into the next chain space, which is up here. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 into that chain space there, chain 2, this is like a corner, treble 3 in the same chain space, chain 1, and in this last chain space here, I'm going to treble 3, 1, 2, 3, going to chain 1, and I'm going to do 1 more treble in that space. So things are slightly different because obviously we're only working half of the granny square. Going to chain 1, and then I'm going to turn my work. Going to slip stitch into the next chain 1 space, chain 4, that's 3 for the treble, 1 for the travelling, 3 trebles in the same chain space, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, that's our traveling chain. Going into the next space here, going to do 3 trebles, 1, 2, 3, chain 1 because we're traveling over these stitches. Now we have another corner space, so into that corner space we're going to do 3 trebles, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do chain 2, and we're going to do another 3 trebles into that corner, 1, 2, 3. Going to chain 1 to travel, 3 trebles in this next side space. Oops, 1, 2, 3. Here's I've chained 1 to travel over here, 3 trebles into the last chain space, and we need to chain 1, and then we need to do a last treble into this stitch here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, I'm going to treble into that chain, and there we have round 3. Let's do round 4, chain 1 and return our work, slip stitch into that first chain space, and I'm going to chain 4. Again, that's going to count as a treble and a travel. Then 3 trebles into that same space, and chain 1, and we're going to do 3 trebles into the next chain space, 1, 2, 3, chain 1 to travel over this gap here, into the next chain space, 3 trebles, 1, 2, 3, chain 1 to get over these stitches here, and we come back to a corner, so in the corner is 3 trebles, chain 2, 3 trebles in the same corner space, chain 1 to travel, 3 trebles in the next space, chain 1 to travel, 3 trebles in the next chain space, chain 1 to travel. Then we're going to do 3 trebles into this chain space. So this is essentially like a corner we'd be going round. We're going to chain 1 and then we're going to treble into the same space. There we have our granny square triangle. I don't know why I call it a granny square triangle, because it's a granny triangle really. So I'm going to pull through, finish off my knot, and there we have, after we've blocked this out, we will have our granny square triangle. So there we have our half granny square or our granny triangle. This is really useful if you're wanting to do half a square in one colour and half a square in another colour, rather than sort of keep changing and changing and changing. You just do a half and a half and sew the 2 together, and that's really quite easy. If you've enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up below, and you'll be able to find the pattern for the half granny square and all my other patterns linked in the description below, but they're also on my website, which is conquercrochet.com. If you haven't done so already, please think about subscribing to my channel by clicking my face, which is up here somewhere, and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss a single stitch. If you'd like to continue on your crochet journey with me, there are 2 other videos that you can click on the side here, and thank you so much for joining me today. Happy hooking!